So let me get this straight. You got hit by a car.
I did. I got hit by a car,
hit by a
which
car.
I haven't told my parents about, so maybe they'll find out.
That's
on
great.
This. Yeah. So I was running, and he either was trying to. So it was a crosswalk, and so in New Jersey, cars have to stop at the crosswalk, whether or not there's a stop sign there.
Everywhere else in America, no, fuck it. Crosswalks are optional.
But you know how
here
you
in
have
fucking
to
New
stop.
Jersey, you have to stop.
It's true though. Pedestrians always have the right of way here.
Pedestrians always have the right of way everywhere.
I thought you had. I thought if there
That's
wasn't.
why it's a crosswalk.
Okay, so I was running across the crosswalk, and there was a car to my left, like who was gonna go straight, and so that person stopped. And so I'm running across now the corner to my right hand side, which would have been someone making a left turn. I spot this car taking like a hard turn and speeding up, and so like I didn't catch it fast enough to stop myself, but I caught it fast enough to kind of like jump and roll. So I like kind of jumped and like hit the hood of his car and rolled off of it on the left side of my body. And like the guy kind of was going to keep going. And then there was this other dude who saw it who started yelling at him.
Yeah, good.
And I got up and I was literally like, I kind of sat there for a second, because you're in like shock almost. I was like, dude, it's a fucking crosswalk. You have to stop.
Yeah.
And then I got out. So I got out of the street and kind of sat down. And it was an Uber driver. So the passenger was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I think I'm okay." And so the guy starts driving, and his fucking
he just leaves.
Yeah, So he starts leaving, and the guys who are at the auto mechanic shop that's by where we live is like, "You just hit that guy. You just fucking hit that guy. You need to stop." And so
my God.
I know. So then he did. And he kind of got his kind of walked and he didn't speak English that well. So I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm okay."
No, you're not fine. You got hit by a fucking car.
I was okay. I was up and I was moving. So I don't know.
At the very least, you file a police report and say, "Hey, I got hit by a car."
I didn't. I just
I don't know what's happening with my body right now. I'm kind of dazed.
No, I know what's happening. I feel
this
like
guy really shouldn't be driving an Uber anymore. I'm sorry. Yeah, look, you get a pass for a lot of things. You get a speeding ticket. All right, whatever. I think you should still drive an Uber. You hit a human being with your car, and you shouldn't be driving an Uber.
This is my wife's argument because I didn't get his stuff and information. I just let him go. Karma. So but I was telling you about this, and we were talking earlier.
I think our government proves karma doesn't exist.
I know. Ugh. We should talk about that another day. So the funny thing is, I was saying, what makes it worse, like if he just didn't see me, if he was making turns and didn't see me, I that makes me less angry. If he was trying to beat me across the crosswalk, that really pisses me off. Because I'm like, then you sped up and hit me. I don't know what he did, but I want to hope that
he's an Uber driver. I personally suspect he was probably like checking his phone to see if he oh, bing, oh, there's another fare coming my way. Like, can I get it? Can I do this? I gotta get this person to their spot first. And because those guys, look, I like Uber. I use Uber. I realize it's a job and it's a tough job, and you're always kind of dicked when you're using that job. But at the same time, like those guys are always fucking checking their phones, not looking at the road, trying to see where their next fare is, and if they can make a double pickup or something. I
drove Uber, and I was pretty good about not fucking with my phone while I was driving, but maybe that's just me.
But you were also not doing it as like a job.
No, it's just like a side job,
summer thing.
Yeah.
Whereas these guys were like, I don't know, like I don't want to. All I know is whenever I'm in an Uber, the people are like hardcore checking 5 different phones because they're driving Uber, Lyft, and whatever fucking.
Yeah, and I guess that kind of was my thing. Why I didn't make a big deal out of it because I kind of knew that I was okay. I'm just like, dude, it's probably the dude's job. And like, if I report, so here's the thing, his passenger's probably going to report it. So I'm like, he's going to get dicked either way. But I was like, if I report it, make a big fucking deal out of it, then like, do I cost this dude his only job? And then like, what if he has a family? And I was like, I'm not hurt. I didn't hit my head. I didn't like, so I let it be. Anyway.
I mean,
I know. My wife gave me a big spiel about it. I got it from that end already.
All right, let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome to Two Dumb Dads. I'm Chris.
I'm Nick.
And this is episode 36 for September 29th. This week we are doing the fun thing. Yes. We are going to have our first official episode of what we're calling our Funtabulous Fright Fest. This is the series where we are going to talk about horror movies for October, and Nick is going to make me fucking miserable.
I did. Though I will say, I've tried really hard to pick good movies for you to watch.
Yeah, you're failing. We'll get there.
Yeah,
we'll get there. This first movie is like, we'll get there.
Whatever. You are in the minority.
Yeah, I am, and I can't fathom why the rest of the majority is thinking the way they are.
Because you have bad movie taste.
So we're gonna watch a bunch of horror movies every week. We're gonna release a bonus episode where we're watching a few horror movies. So this week, no bonus episode because we're doing it for in the usual feed. But this week we're watching A Quiet Place. Next week we're going to watch
Babadook?
That's how you pronounce this?
I think Babadook? It's Babadook.
Okay, I don't know what the fuck that is.
It's an Australian thing. I think you'll enjoy it.
It sounds horrible. It sounds like it's going to make me poop myself.
It might.
I don't like you. And then then the week after that, we're going to watch Cargo.
Which is the one I'm really excited about you watching.
That sounds like an action film.
It's not. It is a zombie film.
It sounds like something that Jason Statham should be like jumping off of a building into a car.
Martin Freeman. I actually recommended it on the podcast.
We're talking about Martin Freeman?
Yeah, like
in a horror film?
Yes, and he's a dad. It's brilliant.
And it's not like a Shaun of the Dead style horror film. It's
a serious drama with zombies.
All right, I'm back in.
All right.
And then for our fourth film, I don't fucking know what
there's going to be a poll that is going to go up on our Facebook page, our Facebook group, where you get to decide what movie we're going to make Chris watch. I'm going to put a couple different choices up there for you to peruse, and we'll see which one wins out, and that's the one Chris will have to watch.
This is your opportunity, people. This is your chance to make my life less miserable.
I'll put a really bad movie on there too.
You get to be incredibly kind to me, your best friend, your loving, warm, adoring father in Steed, and give me just the most calm, compassionate film that Nick offers on this list.
Or you could pick the trashiest B-horror movie that I might put on this list for Chris to enjoy.
If you put, what is it, Cannibal Island or Cannibal
I
might
put Frat House Massacre on there. You don't know.
Oh my God. Do you want to explain that joke? Not even a joke, really, because you could do it.
No, it's actually true. It's actually a horror movie that I was in that's really, really brutal, bloody, and I'm on the cover. It's fantastic. Frat House Massacre.
That being said, we got this idea from our buddy Andrew Sanford, who's the host of I always screw this up,
Half-White Son of a Black Man.
And if you heard last week, you'll know that we are going to be guesting on this show in the near future. We're not really sure when it's going to be released, but we're recording it here in the following couple days.
Yep.
And so follow along on that series, and you'll hear us talking about a collection of horror films. I mean, we're doing one. He's doing like 7 an episode.
Yeah, he does like a whole almost over a month of this, and there's usually 3 movies hit. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty deep dive.
Yeah, he's making me really miserable.
Yeah,
we'll get there.
Yeah,
listen to his show, and we'll be on there, and you'll have some fun. But for today we're gonna. Oh, damn it, Nick! What do you got?
Oh, that was the point. He probably has the best opening theme music of any podcast to listen to.
I do think it was pretty good,
and it's original, which makes it even better.
Well, I mean, that's the thing you can do when you're like talented and stuff.
I know.
So we're gonna dive into it this week. Nick, what's your adventure?
So my adventure in dating. So it's not a Miles having a meltdown thing. It's actually a whole different thing.
Wait, Miles didn't have a meltdown?
Oh no, he had a meltdown, but it's not nearly as bad as it was like 2 weeks ago.
You just tired of talking about it every week?
No. When it's bad, I'll talk about it again because this is where I get that shit out.
I'm just gonna complain. I'm just gonna fucking kids.
So we got him. I have 2 things. One thing is I bought him these, which I did kind of for the meltdown. These like cardboard boxes that you can stack and do whatever. So what I've been doing every time he takes a nap or goes to daycare or goes to bed is I'll restack them in different places in the house and let him come down and find them. And then he just wrecks them. He just is like, and throws them all over the place. But what started happening was he started breaking them down in different ways. So the best one was he came downstairs one morning and he has 2 stuffed animals in his hand. He's walking down. He sees the blocks. He walks over to it. He looks at me. He looks at Sarah. And he takes his butt and just fucking hip checks the blocks. It's like a little booty shake. So it's been really funny to watch him knock these blocks off every day. And it's been a good way to him, when he gets frustrated, I can build him up, and sometimes that works for him to just kind of get something out because I think he's just trying to find ways to release whatever thing he's feeling.
Sure.
So there's that. So that's been really fun. But more importantly, he's starting to, and he's getting really good at it, which is a little early. And you had this with Theo. He's starting to put 3-word sentences together. He's been doing 2 words for a while.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, so he's starting to do brush my teeth, comb. He does comb your hair, comb my hair. So he wants to comb your hair with a comb. Where is mommy? Where is daddy? So it's just cool to watch him start to phrase together 3-word sentences, because they're way easier to ask him what he wants now. And he's not great at it yet, but it's starting. So that's pretty fucking cool.
Sure.
The other thing that is happening is, shit, I totally just blanked. There's another, he's just learning a bunch of words a lot now, which is cool. So, I mean, we had things like, words I didn't even realize that he knew, like rhino and, different.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, is he talking about if I'm from Spider-Man? Like, oh, the rhino's coming.
No, just like a picture of a rhino, but I'm sure I can get him to rhino.
That's a bad dirty joke, people.
Oh, that's good. That's a bad dirty joke.
I mean, I'll take credit for that. I like that one.
I'm gonna own it. So that's been cool. And then I also got him to start saying Superman, and he knows who Superman is now, which is a big thing for me, because we started doing. He has a super cookie, so we're like super cookie, and he repeat, and then like we show him Superman, he's like Superman, and we're like, yeah.
There you go. You just moved from Sesame Street into the actual superhero.
That's what I'm trying. That's actually what I'm trying to do. I've already got Batman the Animated Series ready to go. So that's been cool.
You always find the darkest version of whatever you're trying to get him to watch.
Yes, because they're good, and I can watch them.
I mean, I want him to learn about comic books, so I showed him the Punisher, and he just fucking like, I don't understand why he got upset when he punched through the guy's head.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with it. So that's cool. He's just learning a lot of stuff, and it's really neat to watch that happen. And it's accelerating, which, like I said, I'm sure you've already have seen with Thea.
Sure.
So Miles has kind of hit that developmental, and it's nice. It's nice both as a parent, because you can ask him questions, and it's cool just to see what new words he's learning or understands, knows how to sing now. And it's just fun to watch him find different ways to break his blocks, which I didn't expect to happen, but it's kind of been the game now, right? Like you stack these blocks, he finds them, and then he figures out a different way to like wreck them. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah. What's going on with Thea?
So for us, I have this big issue that I've kind of known was happening, but I'm really starting to see it more and more.
Thea's got smelly farts.
I mean, well, yeah, but she gets that from me, and so I always like outrank her fart. Like,
okay.
She farts, I fart, and then we just notice it's mine more.
Okay, fair.
No, so when I found out I had a girl, or I was having a girl, like I had two thoughts. Like first, I was like, awesome, I'm going to make this the toughest chick possible. Like she's going to be a ninja. She's going to like fight demons.
Which is why she should be watching Batman the Animated Series.
We're going to start with Buffy. We're going to start with Buffy.
Dude, that's a good one.
No, I've like legitimately started thinking about it. It's like, it's holiday season. Like usually on Halloween, Aaron and I watch a couple episodes of Buffy. Because like it's really the most horrific thing we can either of us can stand. Yeah, fucking I hate you. But so the second thought I had though was like, okay, I'm gonna do everything in my power to prevent this kid from like getting princess syndrome, like that, like I need everything done for me sort of mentality. The
thing we all ridicule you for behind your back.
Sure.
Okay.
And so in my like lately, more and more, I'm starting to notice that she's very much is falling victim to this. So if you've listened to this for a while, you kind of probably know that Thea has anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Both Aaron and I suffer from various forms of anxiety, and so we've been very cognizant of like trying to help her through her issues.
Yeah.
Like we are very aware that like when she's like trying to go to bed, that like if we don't come down right away, that's going to create more anxiety for her, which can apparently like create more issues later on. And so we've tried to mitigate that, and she has a lot of anxious tendencies, and so we're trying to work with her. But in doing that, what we've also started to do, I think, is create this this mentality where everything has to be done for her. Like she's 2 now. She's over 2. She can walk just fine, but she doesn't really want to walk very often. She wants to be carried. We go down to the playground. She doesn't really want to run around on the play set. She wants to swing. And then if she like leaves the swing, she wants us to carry her to whatever the next thing is.
So it's not just like normal baby carrying. It's like,
it's more like, I just don't want to. Like when we eat dinner, we'll sit on the couch and she can eat just fine. Like she loves to learn how to do things. Like she'll help me cook in the kitchen. She'll help me make coffee. Her favorite thing right now is getting our vitamins in the morning. And so we are eating way too many vitamins in the morning because she loves to give us our vitamins.
That's right. You just pee it out.
I do. But when it comes to like eating dinner, we sit down on the couch or like at the table or whatever and like feed me. I will not feed myself. You need to feed me. And it's like, okay, well, we can either not have her eat food or we can feed her and she'll eat all sorts of wonderful green things. My kid loves vegetables. Who knew?
My kid loves Pax. That's it.
No, that's great. I wish.
No, you don't. You think you do, but you don't. But continue.
So the issue is kind of like, I don't know, like I still am hoping that it's largely just that she's 2 years old. She's in the phase where like she wants things done for her. But I am increasingly worrying that our giving into these like these wants and desires are creating a little princess who's going to need things done for her in the future.
Do you think so? This is really interesting. Do you think that so in your desire to avoid anxiety, which I think we could have a longer conversation about, are you projecting on your kid about anxiety? Which, I mean, again, your wife works in the field, so she has much more knowledge on this. I'm just thinking as like a layperson.
Sure.
That in your desire to like make sure that this doesn't happen, or you see those tendencies, so you're trying to avoid them, it's actually...
I mean, yeah,
you're doing more harm than good because you're so worried about not having the anxiety that it's enabling. And now, granted, I think it's probably just that she's 2 and they go back and forth and like want to be really independent and then don't want to be independent, then want to be really independent again. So it's probably just a moment. But I would just be wondering, like, you know, which side you want to err more on, right?
I mean, yeah, that's very literally what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm worried about. I'm concerned that in trying to mitigate the anxiousness that we're creating more of an issue accidentally. Like there are things that like we're not always trying to mitigate it. Like, for example, like she got a Power Wheel for her birthday. Her grandfather was very kind and generous. And she doesn't like it. When she first got it, it made a lot of noise. We didn't know what the settings were, and it just kind of shouted at her for about 5 minutes. And subsequently, she fucking hates it. She won't go near it. And so we've tried to like kind of keep it in the apartment. We've tried to encourage her to use it. We've tried, all sorts of things, and she just still hates it. So we're trying to work with her on like not being afraid of things. But at the same time, I don't want to just like push her to not be afraid of things and then make her more anxious about it because everybody's telling her not to be anxious about it.
Yeah. No, I think it's interesting because like, Miles definitely doesn't have the anxious thing, but I think in our push to make him be independent with certain things, like, the sleeping and stuff, like we don't have nearly as cuddly as a kid. He's getting there, but he's definitely more... It's funny for as independent as he is to not want, like he'll sit in that chair. Like he also has way more tantrums. I don't know. That's interesting. I wonder what
Yeah, I mean, we had the snuggliest kid in the world.
Yeah, and Miles is snuggly. It's not like he's not snuggly, but not in the same way. Like he's pretty much like once he's up, he's pretty much like he'll come to you for a second and be like, "Hey, what's up? Let me give you a hug," and then he's off doing his own thing. He's needy in other ways, which is why I'm wondering if it's just her being too, right?
Yeah, and it could be.
Yeah.
I'm well aware that could very much be the thing. I don't know the development phases as well as other people might, so I'm hoping it's just I need to do more research and find out like where she should be at and that sort of thing. But for now, it's one of my anxieties, and perhaps it's one of my problems.
No, it's not. I mean, the same thing. I have that thing with Miles, and you look at me and you're like, dude, he's fucking fine. And I can tell you from reading all the developmental stuff, like Thea's pretty on point with everything. Because again, I'm looking at them all the time, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. I would be more concerned about you guys. Like I said, I would wonder as a parent how much of the anxiety stuff you're projecting onto her. Because again, I would be worried that like you don't want, and I worry about this with Miles and projecting my own things on him. So like the ADD thing, right? Like where you're like, listen, there's probably a good chance, but I don't want to put that on him too early before we're sure that it's there. And if it is, it is, right? Like you deal with it. But I always worry about that. You'd be like, well, I have this and Sarah has this, so he's got to have this.
Yeah.
And I just don't want to do that to him. So I would ask you that too. If some of it is you guys like she's so, oh, we don't want to make her anxious because she already could be anxious, and maybe that's making her anxious.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
I mean, we'll find out.
Yeah, totally.
We'll find out.
That's definitely a challenge, but it seems like you guys are handling it well.
All right, so that's gonna bring us to this fucking movie.
To a quiet place.
No, that's too loud. You just got.
I just got eaten.
You just got thinged. Really? Are they eating? I don't.
I can tell you what they are.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I am going to let you take the reins of this conversation because these movies are your babies.
Oh, I love them.
This was all your fantastic freaking idea.
Uh-huh.
So Nick, you go ahead and take the rein. Where do you want to go with this conversation of A Quiet Place?
So, okay, I should first thing I'll point out why I picked this movie.
Because you wanted to torture me.
Well, yeah, but I figure all of these movies are going to be torture for you. There's
Yes.
not one, like the only one I think you might...
For the record, I was actually looking forward to this one. Like, this is a movie that before we started doing this, I was really excited to see. I love John Krasinski. I love Emily Blunt. I thought like the idea of like a world where you can't make noise was kind of a novel idea. And I was curious to see what happened.
I still think it is. So I should be clear that this is the movie I'm like, maybe Chris will like this movie. The movie I think you're actually going to like is Cargo, which we'll get to. So I watched this movie and I really enjoyed it for a couple of reasons. I like monster movies. I find monster movies to not be scary. I just find them to be fun, if that makes sense.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
The monster movie, when I figured out that this was like after about like the first half hour, I was like, oh, it's a monster movie.
Yeah.
No, I'm cool. Whatever.
Yeah. And so, and again,
Jump scares, I hate you, but whatever.
Yeah. And there's not that many of them in this. It's more.
There's really not.
It's more a monster movie, and I like that. So I was like, okay, so that'll be fun. That'll be something a little bit different. But also, I really liked the family dynamic of this film. I liked that it's really about a family. That's all you really deal with. It's just family, and also a father's relationship with his children, and that's what I thought was really good about it.
Okay.
So what I would love to know though for you is that the first scene in this fucking movie. Oh, spoilers.
Oh yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
Like, look, if you haven't figured it out yet, like we're gonna talk about the film. We're gonna talk about all the film. We're gonna talk about the story. We're gonna talk about the end. We're gonna talk about all the fucking miserable shit and the cool stuff that Nick thinks is cool.
Oh yeah. So what did you think? So that was the thing that really got me into this movie. What did you think of that first moment? Which was my like, I'm either gonna watch this or I'm like, no, I'm done. I
mean, I don't know. It was so fucking telegraphed that I was just like, well, this kid's gonna get it. He's gonna get it.
Yeah, but they still don't have an effect on you as a parent. Like,
not even a little bit.
Okay. Let me.
Really? So here's the thing. I was never certain if that was his. Like, it took me a really long time before I realized that it was his kid.
Really?
Like I wasn't sure if this was like, because in that first scene, what you're left with is like, okay, here's a family that's in the pharmacy, essentially getting medicine for the sick kid. And so like you just see people walking around. There's no dialogue, so you don't instinctively know the relationships between people. Like, is like they have 3 kids. That's a kind of like, I don't know, that's kind of a big family in the apocalypse.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like, all right, is this a kid? Is this their kid? Is this an adopted kid? Is this a kid that's kind of like random and that like in this post-apocalyptic world where they're the last family alive, is this just somebody who's like they've been able to, I don't know, like bring into their unit?
That they're like protecting essentially, or
yeah, and like so I didn't finally like really determine like, okay, this is his child until he takes the batteries out of the rocket ship. So like, oh, okay, yeah, no, this is a family, and then like 30 seconds later he's squished.
Yeah.
Or is he squished? I don't know what the fuck he is. To this moment, I still don't actually know what the fuck these monsters are doing.
I think they're eating them. That's kind of
Are they? Because they never show you, like, they just show you squishing them. They never show them eating anybody. It's just like squish and then they're done.
Well, I mean, that's how you avoid like rated R things.
It's not rated R?
I don't think it is.
I thought it was rated R.
Maybe it is, but that's how you avoid the gore of it. See, what's funny, because that for me set up pretty much the whole tone of what this movie was going to be, right? Is like a family dealing with loss within this apocalypse. And so rarely, I think, in these type of movies, monster movies or horror movies.
Yeah, it is PG-13.
Yeah.
Still.
But you so rarely see the loss of a child. Like that's
Harry Potter had that guy eating into a unicorn.
Yeah, but clearly Harry Potter can get away with a lot of shit.
I'm just saying, all you
Potter.
have to do is have your monster hunched over a thing going gobble, gobble, gobble with squishy sounds. And now I understand that they're eating, they're preying, and it's not just like I'm a monster, I kill sort of situation.
Well, also it's a kid, so I don't think you want to see a monster eating a kid.
No, but there were lots of other
there's like one other person. There's like one other person.
It squishes a raccoon.
Okay, well, fine.
Like, okay, if you're hunting things to eat, then okay, like show them gobbling a dead deer when they're walking through the forest or something.
Maybe I think you're smart enough to figure that out, Chris.
Like, it's a non-realistic situation. I don't know what the rules are of this world.
First of all, they're aliens, so maybe it's not non-realistic.
Are they aliens? They never established that.
No, John Krasinski came out and said that they were.
Okay, great. So now you're saying I have to go outside of the film to figure out what these things are.
No, because I don't think it actually I don't think the point is for it to matter. Because John Krasinski talked about like he didn't really want you to know, but he did clear it up when they asked him in an interview, like, is this...
So I felt like I probably could have paused the movie in his workshop and like read a little bit more on the board and on the articles that they were posting.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Like I don't doubt that they knew, but my problem was I didn't know.
Did you feel like you needed to know what the monsters were to...
Yes. Because I didn't understand the rules of the world. Like that is the most fundamental rule of a monster movie.
You didn't understand the rules. The rules are
here's the only rule I understood. You make sound, you die. Like the monster comes. That's it.
I think that's the only rule that actually
matters. I didn't
matters.
understand if like, okay, so there's a shotgun. Can you shoot these things to death? Because if so, why aren't people just walking around with shotguns?
Well, I think that's the thing they don't know. I think that's the whole thing. You figure it out at the end that does actually work. So one of the things I like about this film is just the
futility. Does it? Because there's that question like on the board, like armor, and I'm like, yeah. Armor, and then the only as far as I know, the only reason the shotgun worked is because it was going at the moment.
I think it is. I think that is the point. Which we just like.
At which point I'm like, okay, that's a shitty point. Like, tell me the rules of this world so I understand the stakes.
But I don't think they know the rules. I think that's the whole point. Is they're trying to figure out the rules.
Then that's a bad decision as a writer.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think the rule that matters is you can't make sound. I think that's like the major.
But you can
if it's loud enough in the area.
If you're near the waterfall. Which makes me go, why the fuck aren't we living at the waterfall? You can walk to the goddamn waterfall. You are able to build, you've been able to figure out, to engineer a special walking path, which, by the way, is that sand? Is that sand. It's dust? Sand. Is that ash? I'm still not clear on what that shit is.
It's sand. I'm pretty sure it's sand.
Which, by the way, you're in the middle of the desert. How are you getting the sand?
Well, it's not
the desert. Let me rephrase it. You're in the middle of
like the Midwest, basically.
Iowa or Nebraska or something. I don't know where there's a giant waterfall in Iowa, but the point is you're in somewhere where there's a waterfall. Like, where are you getting all the sand from? Whatever. But why don't you just go to the waterfall and build a house? Like, build your little shack or whatever you can engineer a special headset. You can engineer a goddamn volcano of fireworks. You can have your entire farm set up with lights that you have multiple different colors of to let us know you can't build a fucking wooden shack at the waterfall where you guys can talk and have a conversation.
Well, I think the problem is you'd have to the waterfall. It can't be louder than the waterfall, and construction would be louder than the waterfall.
Would it? Because he shouts and screams.
Yeah,
they were able to build a soundproof room without attracting those. You're telling me you couldn't like rope together some tree branches?
No, well, that's not enough safety.
You don't need safety because you can be loud here. Their monsters aren't going to get you here. All you have to do is block yourself from rain. That's all you need. There is block yourself from rain. This movie made no sense.
What?
It made no sense.
Come on.
All. There are so many plot holes.
There's plot holes in every horror movie. That's just part of the genre.
But the difference is in most films, I'm like, okay, I get the rules of this thing. Like, okay, if this happens, then this. But with this one, I'm like, wait, but that just happened. It's like it didn't. Okay, I don't get why. What is it like? What's like? Why? Just why? Why? Why anything? I'm sorry, you had a whole list of things.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I thought this was a really good movie because of the family, the family dynamic in this world, and the father's relationship with his two kids, and how do you deal with the guilt that your one child basically caused the fucking death of your other child, and how do you deal with that love relationship, and how if something happens, do you let your child know that you do love them? And like, I thought that was good. I thought the fact that it is almost completely silent is really interesting dynamic of a film, that you don't have a lot of dialogue and a lot of
Okay, sure, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
I do think this was a pretty well acted film. I have some issues with the directorial choices, but I think for the most part it's a very well directed film.
What director, other than the not knowing the rules of the world thing?
Well, I mean, I other than that little detail,
yeah, other than that one that
completely breaks the film,
that bothers you, and no one else.
Completely breaking the film.
No one else was worried about that.
I think, like, I think there were some moments where I'm seeing some, like, a very clear callback directorially, like in the images. For example, when Emily Blunt and the newborn baby are in the, which, by the way, how the fuck did this baby get born in like 10 minutes?
We're gonna get.
I know we're gonna like.
Yeah, we'll get.
Okay.
Yeah. Because sometimes that shit just pops out, man.
Yeah, but you're.
She had three kids already. So I mean, it's just like fucking like Pez dispenser and that shit now. Boop boop boop.
And it's just like she's all alone, and then she's just like, look, here's this baby that I can hand to you. Like I there's a monster chasing me like 5 feet away, but I was able to give birth to this thing relatively silently and cut the umbilical cord with no
That's
concern.
Because Emily Blunt's a badass. That's why. Are you saying
she can't go and like go the hunting stuff? She can't take care of the family. He has to take care of the family. You take care of the family. Oh God. What were we talking? Oh, the silence of the film. So I thought I wanted to like the choice of the silence more than I ended up liking it. For one, I felt like the silence was largely negated by some of the scoring decisions.
Okay.
I think some of the soundtracks were very, like, I don't know, if you're going to have a story where like silence is key, then make me uncomfortable by having there be silence.
Then actually allow silence to exist as opposed to just no dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because on a regular basis, it seemed like what was happening was like, they're like, okay, well, we can't actually let our audience be uncomfortable like this, because God, it's not like this is a horror movie or something. Let's put a nice soft soundtrack over the top of the silence. It's like, okay, this isn't really. And then like the only time it does go silence is when you're supposed to be hearing it from the blind girl's perspective.
I mean the deaf
girl's perspective. Sorry.
Yeah.
But even then, it's not like there's any other sort of indication that we're suddenly getting it from her perspective. It's not like there's a visual shift. It's not like there's anything else happening except for her being in frame. And I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing here. I see what you're trying for, but this really isn't very clear because
it's not a strong enough choice.
It's not a strong choice. It's not a very clear choice. Like, it literally is just like, okay, we're showing the boy and now we're showing the girl and now it's silent in the background, but now there's like a tense sound, but then it's like, it just doesn't.
Okay, I can see that. I mean, that didn't bother me enough. Maybe it's because I bought into I don't know if novelty is the right word. The novelty of
it's a novelty. It's not. It's a gimmick.
But I thought it was cool to use, and I like that the actress is actually deaf. So that was a really cool choice. It's something outside of the storytelling that I liked about the film.
Sure.
So
what I'll say about in the silence of the film as far as dialogue, I think that it was an interesting choice to stick with it because there's obviously still dialogue. It's just not spoken.
Yeah.
It's just captioned through sign language, which is cool. It's a nice touch on the world. But what I constantly felt was, I don't know, as nice as it is to have that, I didn't feel like there was enough of it.
Okay.
Because like there's not a lot of interaction between the characters in a lot of ways,
which I think is that I actually think is a clear choice because of the relationship between the father and the daughter, or what they're trying to establish.
And I can see that. So I didn't feel that very well. It wasn't until she's getting ready to leave, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess maybe that is what they're going for here. Mm-hmm. Like if you want to suggest that like part of this dynamic is that he's bitter towards the daughter and resentful, then I feel like that needs, like, because of the lack of dialogue, because of the lack of inflection, I feel like they needed to really create more moments where that's clear. The only real moment in my recollection where they try and make that clear is like the boy's going to go hunting and the girl's going to stay home. And all I could think was like, well, geez, you're sexist.
Well, I think so. That's a really interesting point, and that's one of the things why I like this, and I thought it would be interesting to talk about. Is I think that's the dynamics, that he's not bitter against her. I don't think that's actually what it is. I'm sure that there is a part of that. There is guilt, because that's the whole reconciliation that comes between them, is her not understanding that the reason he keeps fixing the ear thing is because he loves her and he wants her to have that. Just like he doesn't understand that the way that this loss of his child is affecting him is being viewed by the daughter as anger or resentment, which I think it's a miscommunication throughout the film. Mm-hmm. But I do think that was him taking the boy and not the girl, I think is the consequence of it, right? Like, what, as a parent, like, how do you handle that consequence? Because there is some level of trust now that is lost in your daughter, knowing that, like, but she's a kid, right? I get that. Like, but like, that's got to eat on you as a parent, which is where I want to kind of drive this conversation. What I loved about this movie more than anything else, because it is a monster movie and that's just fun for me, right? Just a fun monster movie. I felt very tense and also really invested because it was a family. So when shit was going on with these kids, I was like, oh God. Like, yeah, I get the baby pops out, but then I'm like, fuck, there's a baby. And it's the same way I feel in The Walking Dead now that I've had a baby. It's like, there's no way you can live through this. How the fuck are you going to take a baby into this world?
So can I, okay.
Does that not make you tense? Did that not?
No, because my honest to God thought was, why the fuck did you get pregnant?
Well, yeah, that too.
Like you're in a guy, like the movie opens in a pharmacy, grab a pack of condoms.
Yeah, but if you used all of them,
grab the morning after pill.
Or if they used all of those,
then you have made weird decisions with your life. You have used every morning after pill in this town.
So as you listen, maybe they really like to have sexy time.
Yeah. Okay. Which let's bring up that. How are you having all of this sexy time when you can't make a peep?
You have silent sex,
and you're also living in the same basic room as your kids.
Yo, I think people have sex with their kids in the room more often than you think.
Yeah, but that's not the family dynamic that they are having here. Like, that's just not the thing.
Listen, like Chris Pratt says in Jurassic World, animals just like to.
The animals, but these are like okay, you can. I love where that's a whole other conversation we're about to go down. I'm not going to go down there. So I. Like when we were like the entire time she was pregnant, I just like as soon as it flashed like day 400 and whatever, I was like, wait a minute, she's still no, that's more than not. Why the fuck did you get pregnant?
I think I had the same thought, but it adds this weird dynamic of how do you deal with that? And that I found that very, very tense.
That's a wonderful story plot. Like here's the thing. Had they decided to try and establish like we got pregnant because we lost a child and we wanted to have our family back. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. That is a good narrative explanation. But again, you can't fucking have dialogue. They didn't create any sort of a in-world explanation for how that would be. So instead it's just like, I don't know, shit, we got pregnant.
That's kind of what I took it as. Like sometimes that mistakes happen, and that's kind of what.
But again, that's not like if you were deciding to like put, I don't know, like your like the abortion beliefs above like survival. All right, that's your thing. Then too bad you're about to die because you had a baby, and like that's your choice. But in this narrative, where like there are apparently plenty of fairly well stocked pharmacies still available. You should have been able to prevent this. Like that was a poor decision. If you are unwilling to like let your kids have toys or whatever the other things are in this world, but you are not going to decide not to have sex safely to prevent like death of not just you, but theoretically, if you make too much noise, you're killing your kids.
Sometimes mistakes happen. You just want to have some sex,
and then you killed your kids because of it, right? Because like theoretically, if that monster comes, it's going to kill you and your kids.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why it was so tense for me is because that's the consequence of this. It's a mistake. So I guess here's the thing: were you not invested at all in this family?
No.
Really?
I really wasn't.
So then the movie doesn't work.
It doesn't work for me.
Yeah, because at that point, like if you're not invested in the outcomes of what happens to these people, then this movie falls short.
And then that's the problem for me. Like I am the person who is instantly invested in everybody in a film, in a book, in a whatever, I am instantly invested. But there were so many just logical steps that just didn't work for me, that the entire time I was watching this thing, I was going, why aren't you just doing this? Why, like, and it's not like usually where it's like, oh, don't go into the basement. Why are you going to the basement? Look, we all know why you're going into the basement, because in the world of the story, you're not aware that there's a monster in the basement. And so I get it. But in this one, it's like, no, you are well aware that monsters are everywhere. You have set up the world where you are aware of there being monsters everywhere, and yet you're making every bad decision for no apparent reason. Like,
other than people make really bad decisions all the time.
But that's not the world they set. They set up that they're making all the right decisions, that they have the engineering capabilities. And by the way, how is Emily Blunt a doctor too? Like, she's like, I don't know, like maybe she was a doctor beforehand and like, okay, I'll give her that.
If they're farmers tend to have a lot of veterinarian experience, which you can translate to.
Okay.
I mean,
okay, sure.
It's just stuff that you got to know how to do. You know what I mean? So I guess that's the thing. So here's where we differ completely. The reason why I love this movie is because, I mean, I like the nuance of the silence. As an actor and someone who likes film, like, I thought that was a cool novel idea. I really appreciated that, and I thought they did a decent job with that. But I was so invested in the family and like what was going to happen to them and the relationships between them, especially the relationship between the father and the son and the father and the daughter, where the son doesn't really want to do the things the father wants him to do, but the daughter does, and like that gender dynamic and all of those. And so because I was so invested in them, I really loved this movie because of that family dynamic. But again, if you weren't, then this movie definitely doesn't work, because everything else is novelty. The point is that you're invested with the family. And so obviously that didn't work for you.
No, it didn't at all.
And so that's sad, because I see now why you wouldn't like this movie.
So, okay, there are things we can still talk about that won't just, I mean, hopefully won't just ruin you. So first of all, the performances. I thought the acting was pretty well done. I think like
it's a good group. I mean, it's a good group of. I thought the kids were good. I thought John Krasinski's good, but I like John Krasinski. So
I thought of all the performances, surprisingly, I thought Emily Blunt was the weakest. But I think it's just because she had the least to do.
Yeah.
She like her entire role, it seemed, was to like not make noise while being pregnant. I was just like, wow.
The movie's about John Krasinski and the daughter. That's the characters of this film.
It is. And I think John Krasinski does a great job, like trying to like showing emotion in a silent world. And I think that was great. And I think Emily Blunt did the same. I think you could, like, even as little as she had to do in this film, she did it well.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the monster designs.
Okay.
It's just Cloverfield, right? It's Cloverfield with a weird head.
Yeah, kind of. I think in all honesty, the monster design, to me, that's kind of an afterthought, because I think this movie's just they're just there. I don't think it's a matter of like.
But that's always the thing in the monster movie, right? It's like, okay, you don't see the monster, and then you see the monster. It's like, oh.
I mean, when I watch monster movies in general, like I'm usually fairly unimpressed with the monster. I find monsters to be outside of like classic monsters, like the xenomorph and Alien and shit like that. Sure. Like that's a great fucking design.
Yeah.
That's the last really good monster design that I can think of.
I mean, I didn't entirely dislike Cloverfield when it first came out, because like it was so brief that it was a cool thing. I love the creature designs in Pacific Rim, and basically anything.
I haven't watched that one though.
Is wonderful. But this one I thought was just wholly uninspired.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you, but I didn't care about how the monsters looked. But that was something I didn't care about. So
okay, explain to me the rules of this world. I want you to explain them to me.
Okay, so the rules of the world to me is that you can't when there's not a louder sound, you can't make sound. So
okay, so what are we defining as a louder sound though? Because like there was a moment in this where I'm like, Emily Blunt is creeping behind the waterfall in her basement. I'm like, they're not going to be able to see her. No, totally not what was happening. It was just like, it's a callback to a moment that just isn't acknowledged. It's like, nope, that's not what we're doing here. Anyway, go ahead.
So I think that like you cannot make loud noises. That's one of the rules. Another rule is they are blind. The monsters are blind. They can only hear sound. That hold on.
How many are there? Because
I think they say in their farm there's 3 or 4.
They say on the board, they say how many are there? 3 nearby? Question mark. Are they all over the implication seems that they're all over the world by the newspapers, but I didn't get a clear view if that's a worldwide newspaper. It looked like he was on his ham radio sending signals to India or something, or maybe that was just a town.
I think it's the zombie apocalypse rule where you have what's affecting your area and you don't exactly know what's happened worldwide because things you can only assume. So in my mind, their threat is the 3 of those things that is near their farm. So I think the 3 of those things that is hunting near their farm. Okay, that was my understanding. That was the rule that I played with. That they're probably throughout the world, but there are 3 in that specific area. Because if we're going by animals hunting, you can only have so many in space, especially if they're
and under your assumption, the rule is that they are hunting.
That was how I always interpreted it. That they are hunting prey. Be that human or raccoon.
So then they have to eat.
Yeah.
So then theoretically, if how long? Okay. Because that was another thing, right? It's like, okay, they've killed everybody. How long can these things for me? It's always the zombie question, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
how long can they make it?
How long can a zombie stay alive without if a zombie has to eat flesh, then how long does a zombie undeadly live without eating flesh?
And again, these are the rules of a world that don't bug me because I feel like if there's that stuff that in the moment of the story I don't care about, it doesn't matter to me that much because I'm not looking long term at the story. I'm looking just short term in this.
Well, but in the short term, there's a goal of the film, right? And that goal is presumably to stay alive.
Yeah.
And so if I'm looking at okay, your goal is to stay alive in this situation. What are your options? Can you outlast these people? Can these things? Can you fight them? Can you just hide from them? Can you escape them? What are your options? And then let's choose the best one.
Well, that's what I thought was kind of happening in this is you have these people trying to figure out what are they, how much has been affected. And so at this point, it is safer, I think, for them to hold down where they're at because they've figured out how to survive somewhat. And I think the end of the film is they figured out how to fight back, which there is going to be a sequel. So that will be...
Oh, is there?
Yes.
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
I'm not sure either. I'm excited to see some more Emily Blunt, but
because I feel like it's going to be that that aliens turn now, where it's we know how to fight. Let's blow these mothers up.
But remember, Aliens is considered the best of the 3 films.
Yeah, but I don't know. Again, I don't like it as much. Because it's an action movie, it's not a horror movie. It's whatever. It's just a different style of movie.
And again, but I think most monster movies are action movies. So, okay. I mean, no, really, when it came down, I think at the end of the day, because you were not invested in these characters, it is harder for this movie to work. Whereas for me, that's why I liked it so much. Is because I was really invested in the family unit, and I was wondering if you would be invested in that father-daughter dynamic that existed in this film.
Yeah, I wanted to be. I wasn't.
Yeah, and that's fair. I'm definitely interested in Cargo. I'm very.
Is it because they pay more attention to the details? Or?
It's all about, without ruining too much, it's almost entirely about parent dynamic with the child.
Okay.
Maybe we should watch that one next. Can we switch this order up? Can we do Cargo next?
I mean, man, I have to no, because we've announced it earlier. We are doing Babadook and then we're doing Cargo.
Okay.
And more importantly, I don't want to end on 2 shitty films.
Babadook is great.
I don't know. It sounds
this
awful.
Movie's great too.
It sounds stupid.
It
has a weird name.
You also don't like Wonder Woman, so whatever.
I don't. All right.
You fail at life. So all right, first one down. So
first one down.
Winner for me, not for you.
I have 3 more horror movies before.
I'm gonna laugh if the shittiest reviewed movie that we watch in this whole series is the one that you like the most.
Oh yeah, no. What's gonna happen is we're gonna end up watching Frat House Massacre,
and you'll be like,
"It was brilliant.
Yeah,
let's take it to
because
cons."
There doesn't need to be any logic. So you're just like, because there's no logic, I can totally buy that it's a grindhouse 70s film.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's a thing. If the world is established as we don't give a shit, all right, cool. Let's not give a shit.
This is a really eye-opening perspective on how you watch film.
Yeah, especially when I'm no, I'm going to have to talk about it. I think about it more.
But you still like Christmas movies.
Oh, yeah, because I don't give a shit about Christmas movies. I'm just
that's how you have to watch a horror movie. Oh, my God. All right, anyway.
All right. That being said, we're going to move into emails, and we don't have any this week. So if you would love to just like berate me for my thoughts on A Quiet Place, you can email us at emails@twodumbdads.com. That's emails at the number 2dumbdads.com. We'd love to hear from you and share your thoughts about why I am just so incredibly off on this film.
You are.
But in the meantime, we are entering into America's favorite part of the show, Nick Spectastic Ballyhoo.
Nothing, because I still don't have a stove. Though my stove should be getting delivered here in about 5 minutes.
In 5 minutes?
I got to get home in 5 minutes.
Awesome. So we can make this nice and quick.
I am going to be baking some this week in the minute I get my fucking stove. So
the important thing is you're getting a new stove. Tell us about this stove, Nick. What is this new? What are the functions?
I don't know.
Does it go from 0 to 450 in 30 seconds?
Can I tell you that I really hope it has a convection oven in it?
Really? Is that a thing you want?
Yeah, because it makes your bakes even. And they bake
really?
faster.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so do you know how a convection oven works?
It's just like a fan in the back, right?
So what it does, yeah, it is. But what it does, so when you preheat your oven, right? This is why when you read this baking book, they tell you to preheat your
totally
oven.
Ruining your 5 minutes, aren't I?
It's fine.
We're talking baking now.
So this is good.
Horror movies, whatever. Baking, yeah.
Because you bake a lot, so it might be something that you might want to learn that I learned about.
Have one.
You have a convection oven?
Yeah. I just never use it because I don't know what the fuck it does.
Oh, okay.
Except for blow air on it.
So here's the thing. So when you use like an oven in an apartment, right? Like a simple oven that doesn't have convection. There are cycles to your preheating. So like your oven hits 450 and then it cycles again 3 or 4 times to keep it at 450 before the whole oven is evenly preheated. That's why sometimes when you bake, things can bake unevenly in the oven because the oven is not evenly preheated. So when I bake bread and shit, I let the oven preheat for an hour. Like I let it cycle through each one until that oven is all around 500 degrees, and then I lower it to what I want it to bake at. A convection oven, because it's fanned, it does that immediately. So the fan is spinning the heat evenly through your oven, which is why things bake faster and bake more evenly. It's why restaurants use them to bake in.
Okay.
So if you're baking, now the problem is if you're not used to it, your timing changes, but your bakes theoretically should be more even, and you don't have to like worry about the bottoms getting burnt and not the tops because that heat is evenly dispersed through your oven.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I really want one.
Huh.
Like, I legit want that thing to have a convection.
Well, cross your fingers. You're going to find out in about 3 minutes.
It's probably going to be like a cheap-ass used gas stove. But whatever. That's fine.
All right. Let's go into recommendations. I'll go ahead and start first because I think you were still thinking about it when we started recording. So I have a nice, simple recommendation. So we have... Thea's at an age where she wants to do everything. Unless we want her to do it herself, then fuck it.
Then no.
But she wants to try everything right now. And so one of her latest things is she really wants to drink out of bottles. Which means I have to keep the liquor extra high.
Yeah.
No, but she loves water bottles. Whenever I come home from work and maybe my I keep a metal bottle of water with me, but if I forget it somewhere and because I lose these things so freaking regularly, I'll buy a smart water or something at the store and I'll bring it home and they'll just be a half empty. She will sit down and this kid won't drink water, but if there's a bottle of water, she is going to town on it.
She's on it.
She will drink nothing in an entire day, and then she sees that bottle of water and I just drank a gallon. But she's really bad at it because she wants to drink it kind of like she used to drink her milk bottles, mouth full over.
Miles sticks his tongue in it, which is really funny. She's like,
yeah, I'm gonna really get it. I'm gonna get it good.
You're like, Miles, that's not. Oh god,
that's not. Okay. Oh, that's gross. That's gross. And so what I've learned is, okay, if we do this, and then there's the bottles with the sports cap, the little pop tech cap, she does great. She loves those things. She can put her whole mouth on it. She'll tip it up and it doesn't spill all over. It is absolutely wonderful. And I've realized this is a really nice kind of intermediate step between drinking out of a bottle and drinking out of a water bottle.
Dude, that's why Miles has that Contigo bottle. It's the only thing he'll drink water out of.
The Contigo bottle?
So they're the same thing. They flip up and they have the...
Oh yeah.
So it's it's the only thing he drinks water out of because he's really particular about the water and milk thing.
Sure.
That's a different story. Try getting her one of those. He loves it, and that's how we've gotten him to drink water as opposed to a bunch of milk.
Well, she got one from my mother when we went to visit last summer, and like she used it for a while, but it was just kind of like a novelty. And now like whenever like just like these are just novelties too. It's not like she really like cares to drink out of them. It's more like, oh hey, here's a new thing I'm learning to do. Like this is cool, this is fun. But I'm thinking like this whole learning this is fun thing is going to be a nice intermediate step between that and like drinking out of a bottle. She drinks out of cups just fine now. The problem is just like sometimes like she's still a toddler and she's weak, and so sometimes she'll drop it. Yeah.
And it spills on them, and that's just kind of being
whatever. Yeah. It's just
try it though. If you have one, bring that back out because maybe it's a good time to like reintroduce the Contigo bottle.
Yeah, definitely.
So my recommendation is not nearly as fun as yours. So something I know. So there's a really great podcast we both listen to called Mom and Dad Are Fighting by Slate. There was a special episode.
Don't speak for me. I can speak for myself.
You're the one who told me about it.
I did.
So I'm going to recommend, it's not a normal episode, it was a special. It is Surviving a School Shooting from a Teacher's Point of View. So we are both educators, right? We both work in education. I've worked in high schools as a teacher. I found, and so this is an important thing to me, and it affects me in a certain way when I listen to things. And so I thought this was a really, really interesting perspective on people who have been affected by school shootings, and interview them and how they felt about it and how it's affected them and how they've worked as educators afterwards, because these are the people, whether we are in it or not, that deal with our kids, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for you, it's a little bit different because right now it's your wife, but eventually that's going to change. And these are the people who are with our kids and protect our kids and are invested in our kids. I found it both it was emotional and sad, but really beautifully done. So I recommend if you are into podcasts, it's Mom and Dad Are Fighting. It's a special about...
and we're assuming you like podcasts
because you're listening
to our podcast.
But if you're looking for something to just listen like a one-off, right? I thought it was really, really interesting, especially as a parent who has a kid in school and then also works in education.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, definitely. I know I've changed how I teach sometimes because of all the shootings. I'm like, maybe, you want a B instead of a C plus? Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'm just going to give this to you because I don't want to get shot today.
But it's funny. So one of the things they talk about in this, I think it's interesting, is that's not how I think school, when we were in school even, that's how you viewed it. Because school was always ideally a safe place until we were in 8th grade. That's when Columbine happened. And it talks about that, right? Like how school has changed from being this place where you send your kids and you just assume, oh no, they're safe there. They're safe there. And like kids in school just assume, no, I'm safe. That's not the reality for our kids.
What came first? Was it the, so our school, we went to a small private school that didn't have anything like this, but the public school nearby did. What came first, the Columbine shootings or the police officers in the school?
Columbine.
Really?
Yep. So they talk about this. So one of the people they interview, she's a high school teacher now, but she was a student at Columbine. And she talks about just how like the SWAT team dealt with them because they thought there were 4 shooters, like, and SWAT team yelling at them and swearing, but not because like they're being dick cops, because like they just don't they had no idea how to deal with this particular situation.
Right.
And now I think that's different. Like we live in a different world, but is that the goods and bads of that? I found it incredibly dynamic as a parent who sends their kid to school every day, even if it is with someone I know really well. Like that's who's protecting them. Like that's, what happens in that situation, right?
Yeah.
It was a really good listen, so I recommend it.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for today. One announcement we forgot to make earlier. So if you've been waiting for our monthly download for September Journey, we said we're going to do this. We're going to delay it a month. Life happens, and unfortunately life hit us this time around. I know it's a short game, but we just haven't been able to sit down and get through this. So we're actually going to reschedule this for November. We'll try and get the episode, the recording, and all that good stuff like usual up in mid-November, so everybody can have that one. Really sorry for the delay, but it's just what's gotten us right now. That being said, we're done. So
later.
You can find me at Chris Moss again, and on Twitter, and at Rampant55 on Twitch.
You can find me at nwestmeyer on Instagram, at nwestmeyer on Twitter. You can find us at our Instagram page at 2dumbdads and at Twitter at 2_dumb_dads.
And of course, you can find us at our website, 2dumbdads.com, and check out our Facebook group. We've been doing a lot of stuff on the Facebook group lately, so put it up, follow it. We have a couple big announcements coming in the near future, so give us a follow, and we'll keep you updated. But until next time, be well.